Hey guys, how are you? I'm back with another video today. Today I'm going to be doing a technique I haven't done in at least a decade. I got this stamp from Technique Junkies and the word that caught my eye was rainbow. And if I can rainbow anything, I totally am. So let's see if we can accomplish this today. We're going to set the stamp aside. And the first thing I'm going to do is work with a quarter sheet of paper. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It covers the full side of a card. And we are going to make a rainbow on this piece of paper. I will speed this up because you guys have all done this. I am just sponging on color. I'm going to make this side red and it's going to fade all the way into purple. So I'll see you guys on the other side of this process. Okay, so I have this all ink blended. As you can see, it's nothing fancy. I just wanted to be able to see every single color. We're going to do some heat embossing on top of this, so it's going to cover up any of those little imperfections. So it was more important to get this done quickly than to be quote-unquote perfect. But I do need to wait for this to dry completely because some of this ink will hold embossing powder, so I need to make sure that it's dry so I don't catch embossing powder where I don't want it. So I'm going to set that aside and I'll come back to you in an hour or so. Okay, so I think our panel is dry enough. I'm going to take my anti-static powder tool and I am going to rub it all over it just as another added precaution here because I don't want any stray embossing flecks. And I have my stamp positioned into a stamp positioner, and now what I'm going to do is stamp on top of this. And the stamp that I think I'm using is called Versamark, and if you're new to stamping, Versamark is an embossing ink and it's also a watermark ink. Today I'm using it as an embossing ink. It stays wet longer than regular ink, so I can put the powder on, and the powder will adhere to wherever there's ink, hopefully to only wherever there's ink, letting us emboss an image onto our panel here. And because I have a stamp positioner, I do like to stamp this a couple times because I want to make sure I get a good impression, and I'm just kind of looking over. And again, because it's in a stamp positioner, I'd rather do this 10 times than have to make a new panel. So I think this will be good. Very nice. Now we can take this out. We can also put our stamp away for now. I'm just going to use this piece of parchment paper as some scrap. And this is clear embossing powder. And so you're not going to be able to see this super well on the camera. But I'm pouring the clear embossing powder over this. Maybe you will be able to see it. It's nice how it looks kind of milky white right now at this time. Make sure I get all of it covered really nice. You don't want any spots not covered. I've learned through the years that it's better to take your time during these steps because if you make a mistake, these are really hard mistakes to recover from, whereas there are other things that if you make a mistake, it's pretty easy to recover from. So I want to really make sure that I get all that covered. Now I can return the extra embossing powder to its container. And we can go ahead and heat this up using our heat gun. Okay, so now this is after the heat gun was applied to all of that clear embossing powder. You can kind of see it looks like it's wet wherever the stamped image was, and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. Now what we're going to do is go over this with ink. I'm choosing black because I think that's going to be the biggest contrast and have the most impact. But we're going to see how much black I need to apply. I might need to go direct to paper. And I'm starting with my distress ink, but like I said in the beginning, I haven't done this in a while, so I wanted to play around a little bit with what inks were the best. But as you can see already, where that clear embossing powder is, it is resisting the ink. So that when I wipe this off, the rainbow is going to show through all of the letters on this page. And I think with the black background, that's going to just look so super cool. Very non-traditional, but I think with the rainbow still fits in there with St. Patrick's Day. I think I'm going to try direct to paper and see what we get here. Direct to paper is when you put your ink pad directly onto your paper and smush it around, and it's definitely faster, sort of. I'm going to need that brush to get into the finer points. Of the card. So let's take this here and see where it's in between the O. And this ink also takes a little while to dry. Distress inks are made for embossing as well, so they stay wet longer. If you are new to stamping, it's really important to know the properties of your ink so you know what techniques you can do and can't do. I teach stamping classes, and one of the most common things I hear is, I tried to do embossing at home and it didn't work. And I always ask, well, what ink do you use? And most commonly, not always, they tell me they used a dye-based ink, and that is the wrong ink for embossing powder. So that's you're not going to be successful with that. So it just matters what you're using. I think that looks pretty black. What do you guys think? Did we do a good job? So let's give that a second to dry before we wipe that all off, and I'll come check on you again. This is a lot of hurry up and wait, but we'll let this dry now. Okay, so our background is pretty much dry, at least I think it is. So I'm going to take a cloth, and all I'm going to do is wipe off the panel, and anywhere that we had that clear embossing, we are going to resist that ink, leaving the whole background stamp clear on our page. Isn't that cool? That's just a neat little background. So right up here, I can see maybe it wasn't completely dry and I wiped off a little bit of the black. I can touch that up. And I did use oxide ink, so it has kind of like a chalkboard feel to it. And I actually really like that. It does feel a little bit like a chalkboard. And I'll just wipe that off again in a little bit. But we can keep going on and making our card. I already prepared a card base. It's just a standard A2. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this background on. And I thought to finish this off, there's another really cool stamp that's from this release. Let me show it to you. It is called Pot of Gold, and it says, "Don't miss the rainbow while you are looking for your pot of gold." And I just thought that is really cool. And since we have this rainbow and this really cool message, that it would be kind of fun to use this on the card. Now, if you guys know me, I always like to cut my stamps apart and experiment. And today is no different. I stamped this image, and then I trimmed the top part off so that we can place this on the front. So the question is, should we put it here? That's where I was originally thinking to put it. I liked it because it was right above the St. Patrick's Day. My favorite part about the front is this line of shamrocks, because you can see all of them. We could also put it in the center because it has rainbow, but then it says rainbow, rainbow, and I wasn't sure I liked that. What do you guys think? I do kind of like that this is front and center. I think no one's going to yell at me. I probably won't even notice. But there we go. And then to kind of spice this up a little bit and add some fun glitter and shine, I got my gel pens out and thought we could add some sparkle to this rainbow. And here's the red one, and I'll speed this up too because I know you don't want to watch me color a rainbow, but I just thought this looked really cool, or would look cool. I skipped over yellow on purpose because there wasn't enough arches on the rainbow to have all of the colors. And instead of doing yellow in the rainbow, first off, I don't think anyone's really going to notice that much. I thought it would be fun to do the heart gold because the second part of the sentiment talks about finding your pot of gold. And then I thought inside we could add some gold to our gold so they kind of connects the sentiments even though they're on the inside and outside of the card. There we go. There it's the inside and here's the outside. I can go ahead and take our rag here. I'm going to just go very lightly and just buff up that without rubbing it on the cardstock. And there we go. There's our finished card. This is called Joseph's Coat. I hope you guys will give this a try. I hope you do. If you do, please share with me. I'd love to see your designs and how it turns out. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next card video.